Hi, I'm Jenny with Gunter Creative, and I'm excited to show you new books that I've made with my laser. Every year around January and February, when things get a little slow around the studio, I always try to find a new way to combine my first love, bookmaking, with lasers and share them with my laser friends. Before I get into showing you how to make them, I wanted to show you real quick how versatile these books can be. You can use plywood. I tend to like to use 1/8" plywood, but you can use a different thickness because there's no living hinge that we need to worry about. I love the living hinge books, but these are easier in that the covers that you laser are just two rectangles. And you can use, I here have used JDS leatherette because I just like the thickness, but I don't like what it looks like on the inside. So on all of these, I have pasted a decorative paper on the inside, but you can use book cloth, you can use fabric, as long as there's some kind of substrate, which is what I'm calling the leather, that's durable and flexible. On this one, I used watercolor paper on the outside, and then I used the leatherette on the inside. And the way that they're stitched together is you just put 3 pieces of elastic that goes through the spine, and the files come with a template that you can use to punch your holes. And when you put the elastic through, you just tie it in a square knot. There's 3 of them. And then another way you can personalize these books is you can order these A5 size notebooks from Amazon with lines or without lines, or in the case of this book, I ordered some music paper. So the paper actually came vertical like this, and I just folded it down the middle, and so they can write their own music in that book. And this one is the same, but it's got a really fun flowery decorative paper on the inside with the pink leatherette on the outside. On this one, I put the design on the front and the back. You don't have to make the back solid. And this really fun decorative paper on the outside with a black book cloth on the inside. And this one has booklets that I ordered from Amazon that don't have lines. This one I used acrylic and a leatherette on the outside with just a charcoal paper on the inside. And this one, similar to some of the others, but with a different cover design. So you can purchase the file from me that has the covers and the template and personalize the engraving. You can personalize the material that you use for the outside, the different color elastic, the different color leatherette, or you can use real leather or fabric. You're not using the laser on this part, so it doesn't have to be laser safe necessarily. You can use watercolor paper that I in this case I colored. So there's just so many different things you can do with these books, and in all honesty, I just can't stop making them. I think they're fun. I've run out of people to make them for at this point, but I'm sure I'll find more. And I'll be doing more designs in the near future.
Okay, here we go, making the books. I'm using another cover that I already cut to make sure that they'll fit on this piece. You can measure out 8.5 by 5.5 because that's the size of each cover. I'm using 3M adhesive, which we all know is not cheap, so you don't want to put on any more than you need for sure. You can cut 4 covers on a 20 by 12 piece of material. When I turned this over, I noticed I had some excess 3M on the back and was a little bummed, but then figured out that I could actually, as long as I got a corner up pretty good, I could actually pull it off, because that's going to be the front of this book. Okay, so there is the leatherette from JDS and the decorative paper. This leatherette has the adhesive already on the back, so I'm going to cut the leatherette to the size of my paper, which I had already measured to be a little bit bigger than both of the covers, plus the 1 3/4 inches we'll need for the spine. And we'll go over that again in a little bit. You want to cut your substrate, which is the leatherette and the decorative paper, a little bit bigger, because you're going to be trimming it after you attach the covers. So those are some little brass measuring sticks that I have, and when you put them together, they're 1 3/4 inches. You can just measure out 1 3/4 inches, or cut your own piece of acrylic or something like that that's 1 3/4 inches long to help you measure between the covers. So I took off the adhesive backing and added my piece of decorative paper. Use the little plastic squeegee to make sure it's all burnished on and good to go. I'm measuring the spine gap that needs to be there, and then I also use a square to make sure that the bottoms of the covers line up. So now, of course, I lasered the cover with the 3M adhesive on the back and pulled it off, lined it up with the spine and the bottom. And here's the back. Make sure you put your back on the left, your front on the right. So if you think about how a book folds, your front cover is going to be on the right with the spine in between. And you just need to make sure they line up, or your book isn't going to fold very well. So I'm just using what I had pulled off of the leatherette on top of the decorative paper, so I don't rip or tear the decorative paper when I burnish it on there. This time I'm using a bone folder. We just want to make sure it's on there really good. Okay, now that it's on there really good, you're going to trim it right up against your wood covers. Make sure you have a sharp knife. Only cutting it once or twice is ideal, or only, using the knife against it once or twice is ideal. You want to make sure it comes right up to the edge. The reason I made it go to the edge and cover the whole insides is I thought it was the most elegant way to end this leatherette and decorative paper combo. I didn't want it to just be the spine and go into the cover a little bit. So you need to use a ruler when you go in between, and just be really careful about making it straight across. And there you have it. Now when you buy the files, there will be a template included that has where you'll want to place your holes, and you just set it in between your covers there on your spine and poke the holes either with an awl like I'm using, or you can just use the needle. You'll need a needle with a large eye so that you can thread the elastic. Here I'm just making the holes a little bit bigger with my awl, but you can also do that with the needle. The elastic needs to be about double the length of your spine. And you're going to thread the elastic from the inside out when you start it, and then go down the spine and go from the outside in so that you can tie your knot on the inside of your book. Pull it and tie it pretty tight in a double knot. And then you may need to adjust the tautness from the inside and the out. Now here on the middle one, you can see I'm going from the inside out, and you go across the spine, go from the outside in, and then we tie your knot. One more. Inside out. Then the outside in. Be careful when you're coming through that decorative paper because it can tear. The leatherette's not going to tear. Now I'm just adjusting how taut the leather is on the inside and the outside. The last thing you have to do is take your booklets, whichever booklets you choose. They should be an A5 size, and just pick up the elastic on the inside and slip them through the middle of your booklet. Now the booklets are removable and replaceable, so you can keep the cover, and when the booklets become used, you can take them out and put in a new one. And that's all there is to it.